What's up, everybody? We're back with another episode of Bullish Chips, where we use a proven and repeatable strategy to make money every day. This channel focuses on the Bullish Semiconductor ETF, which goes by the ticker symbol SOXL, but the charting and trading method we use can be used to trade any company that's publicly traded in the U.S. stock market. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you're alerted to when we release new videos. We do release bonus content from time to time, so you want to make sure you're notified when that comes out. The nightly and weekend videos focus on identifying the triggers and targets for trades ranging from scalps and intraday trades to long-term swings and leaps. So if you want a deeper dive into how we set up our charts and our trading levels, check out the bonus content on our YouTube page. And for more information about the strat, which is the base of our charting and trading method, you can find more free information in the description of this video. Let's take a look at today's agenda. We're going to go ahead and recap today's intraday price action. Then we will take a quick zoom out and look at the week, month, quarter, and year price action for SOXL. Then we'll look at the market maker's expected move for Friday, October 3rd, and zoom back in to set our 4-hour markers and the triggers and targets for tomorrow, and do a review of the triggers and targets for the week, month, quarter, and year. So just looking at the chart and the intraday price action, pretty sideways after a big gap up. Right now I've just got it zoomed out a little bit so we can take note of our 4-hour markers. So we have up here at 38.96 the overnight high. We have the previous high of day here at 36.98. We have the overnight low at 36.63, and we have the previous low of day at 33.98. So those are the major 4-hour markers that we use. Now the honorable mentions that we have here are the market maker's expected move high of 37.23. Again, if you're not familiar with that number, check out our weekend videos where we dive a little bit deeper into how we get that number and putting it on the chart there. Again, this is not an end-all be-all for price action, right? This is just where the market makers expect the high of the week to be, but there's plenty of times that we've seen price go outside of this market maker's expected move. So that is an honorable mention level that we have there. We also have the week flip, which, above this level at 35, the week is green, and below 35, the week is red. And just below that, and basically in line with the previous low day, is the quarter and month flip as well. This is 34.17 is where the quarter and month opened. Of course, October is the first month of the quarter, so the month and the quarter opening print are going to be the same. Let's zoom back in a little bit more here, and we can see we've got yesterday's close is right here, and today's open is right here, right? Opening print was right here at this 38.96 level, so what we a lot of times do with a gap up is draw a fib sequence from the actual close to the actual open, and you can see when we did that, price came down to the 61.8 and it bounced, right? A lot of times it'll bounce off of the 61.8 or the 50 if it's going to be a bullish type of day, or at least bullish morning, and we got the bounce off the 61.8. So you could look at that as a higher low on the 5-minute time frame, and you could enter calls from there. Now you probably wouldn't want to, I guess there's a couple of ways. There are a few different ways you can look at it. I'm not going to tell anyone how to look at it, but with such a big gap up after such a big move yesterday, there's going to be people who are, at the beginning of the day taking profits. There's going to be people, late to the party trying to join in. There's going to be, basically a lot of buying and selling. So that's why you see this sideways action a lot of times. So we didn't get anything new from a scalp perspective, but we did go ahead and just take the higher low there and bought a couple of calls for next week, and added to the position for the 17th, and just looked at those as more of a day trade, possible swing opportunity depending on how things end, because we are pretty overbought from the micro time frame perspective, from 5-minute to the 4-hour, and then from the day as well, we're pretty overbought. So we just wanted to play things with a little bit more caution today after a big day yesterday, right? Let things kind of digest. So we were able to, we didn't, watch for any lower highs on the 5 minute. We just looked at the 15 minute and up, so 15 minute, 1 hour, 4 hour from the day trade perspective, which allowed us to remain in those trades. Now we trimmed a majority of our position for next week. Actually, up here at the top, when we saw we almost closed the gap, we were actually on the 1 minute at this point because it was the end of the day, and we were able to get up pretty much at the top there. But we did leave one for the overnight swing, and we left all of our October 17th and November 21st, I think. No, I can't remember what the expiration is. Those monthlies we just kind of left alone, and then of course the January 27s, the May 27s, and the January 28s. We're not worried about those at this particular time. They're up very nicely, and we're just looking to stay in those as long as we remain above, especially that 36.15 level that we've talked about before. So not a lot to do here on an intraday perspective from our from our view, right? You could have been in here scalping this tiny range that you had here for maybe till half of the morning, maybe till noon. But that's gonna put some gray hairs on your head. So, and you're not gonna make a whole lot of money unless you're loading up on contracts. So, not a whole lot to do today. Just kind of a digestion day after yesterday's move and this morning's gap up. So, speaking of the gap up, we went ahead and labeled that here with the blue box. We had the almost gap close today. So we will have that on our charts for tomorrow. That gap kind of almost closed off. So let's just look at things from a day perspective. Oops, come on now. There we go. So we can see, Thinkorswim is, there we go. So we can see today we had the big gap up right to that, like as we were talking about yesterday in yesterday's video. It might take a gap up to get up over this daily broadening formation, and that's exactly what we got. Now, we ran into the weekly broadening formation. We do still have a little bit of that gap left, but we do have this 78.6 fib that we're running into, which is the April 25 low to July 25 high, combined with the pullback there. So like a bull flag, basically. This is the extensions of the bull flag. So we're running into the 78.6. We've been running all the way from this 29 level, really. So a little bit of a pullback can be expected, especially now that we've hit this weekly broadening formation. You can see here it took a gap up to get over this weekly broadening formation. So tomorrow, do we get the another gap up? Maybe. I don't know. That's pretty extended if you ask me. If we look, we're on the day chart here. We're looking at RSI. It's what are we up here? 83. So it's getting pretty elevated. It can still go higher, especially with SOXL, but we want to be aware of any pullbacks. We did grab a few puts to swing overnight as well, just to cover the heavy call position that we have. So looking at the charts after hours, we are down about 1.3%. So looking like we might get that pullback tomorrow. We didn't get the release of economic numbers today because of the government shutdown, so we'll see what gets released tomorrow, because there were quite a few numbers that were supposed to be released tomorrow, but we'll see about that later on. Let's look at things from the week perspective. Let's go ahead and get a more clear chart here. All right, so again, we've pretty much defeated this weekly broadening formation and are now running into that one. We reached the 36.15. That was the magic number on the week, the month, and the quarter. So now we, oops, I'm sorry, 36.15 is over here. So now we're looking for that 41.19 that we've been talking about, which is this high right here. So from the week perspective, we're at 39.08, looking for that 41.19. So basically $2 more for SOXL. It's not too much to ask, but again, we are running into this weekly broadening formation. We've been on, what's this, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a 5th green week in a row, so we'll see what happens. We did have 5 weeks here and 7 weeks here that were green, so it's, we can continue to push up, but we want to be wary of any pullbacks and be ready to hedge against our longer term call positions appropriately. From the month perspective, we're getting the beautiful 2 up continuation. Again, we've reached this 36.15, which was this high that we were looking to breach from the month perspective. Let me take those weekly broadening formations off. There we go. So this was the high that we were looking to take out from the month perspective. We've taken it out. So again, we're looking now for that 41.19, which was the high on the week, and we can see it here is the high on the month as well. So again, 41.19, want to keep in mind this 78.6 fib that we're running up against from this April 7 low to July high to July pullback. These are the fib extensions for that. So if we do get above that 39.26, of course that 41.19 that we were looking for, but that 100 fib extension is 43.80. So that could be a possibility as well if we're able to reach that 41.19 pretty quickly. From the it is the beginning of the month as well too, so you know, all inverted hammers have to start with the wick, right? And you know, the wick doesn't always come at the beginning of the time period or time frame that you're looking at, this being the month perspective. It doesn't always have to be put in at the beginning, but you know, if things were to turn sour this month, that, you know, that does give us a wick that would turn into an inverted hammer or possibly more if things do go red. So just want to keep that in mind. But again, everything is leaning pretty bullish. Looking at the quarter perspective, again, we triggered that one combo 2 down, combo 2 up. See, there's the one combo 2 down, combo 2 up after breaching this 36.15. That was that magic number, right? So again, the magnitude for a 1 combo 2 down, combo 2 up is not the high of the 1, but actually the high of the candle to the left of the 1. So that's that 70.08. So I want to keep in mind that that is the ultimate target as long as we're above 36.15. You can see we've got gaps above and, you know, plenty of room to go. So not saying it has to happen this quarter or even next quarter. It may take, you know, a whole year to get there, but that is the ultimate target as long as we're over 36.15. Now, if we start pushing up and then we get, you know, push back down, then we get some type of lower high and we're pushing back down again. Now we want to kind of take a bit better look at our positions and you know, if we need to get out, take profits because a downtrend is being put in on a higher time frame perspective, then that's what we'll do. But again, for now, things are looking quite bullish. From the year perspective, you know, started out pretty bad with the 1 2 up 2 down trigger with the magnitude of 621, but we're able to stop at 723, put in what looks like a higher low at this particular point on the year perspective, and we've got a nice green hammer here setting up for the 2 down 2 up in 2026. If we do get that, then that magic 70.08 comes back into play. That's the magnitude of the 2 down 2 up move here, right? So again, everything from a high time frame perspective is looking bullish. We're feeling confident with the long calls that we have, looking for pullback opportunities to add to our positions, you know, not just on like some 15 or 1 hour pullback, but if we're getting a 4 hour or a day, a pullback on the day, and we get a higher low, or even on the week, because there's plenty of room to put in a higher low on the week, right? If we're getting able to get a higher low on, you know, one of the day or week time frames, then that's definitely a great point to add to your position, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at the market makers expected move for this week. Let me go ahead and bring up the scalp chart for tomorrow, and we'll go to the market makers expected move. So I'm on Thinkorswim here, but if you go to the options chain for SOXL, we can see here that for the October 3rd options chain, today, as of today, the market makers expected move is $1.81, plus or minus $1.81. So we closed at 39.08 and plus or minus $1.81. Go over to our notes here, and we've already got that calculated out, so we can see tomorrow's expected move is $1.81. That gives us a high in that range of 40.89 and a low of 37.27. All right, so if we go in here, we also need to put in our notes 38.14 to 36.98. 14 to 36.98. All right, so we've got our, we know where our gaps above and below are. Again, we've already adjusted this one to 39.32 to 39.35. Again, that's the gap we almost closed this morning, but we do have that slight gap above, as well as two more up in the 40s and 50s, but below we have the one that we created this morning, and then the couple that we've had on the way up over the past few weeks, and then of course the ones that we left behind from the April 7 low. All right, so just getting it back into our triggers and targets for tomorrow. We've got, let me just go ahead and bring up, make sure we've got our 4-hour markers here on the board. So this is, oops, wrong thing. All right, we've got the right tool here. So let's just say that, okay, well, again, for our markers, we got the overnight high as of right now is 39.16. Overnight low is 38.50. I'm sure one or both of those will move by the time we open tomorrow. We do have our market makers expected move low here at 37.27. Kind of lines up with the market makers expected move high for the week. If you're not familiar with this channel, week triggers, targets, lines that are associated with the week time frame, they're in this purple, and the day time frame is this orange. We can see up here at 40.89 is where we've got our market makers expected move high, and we've got the fib extensions from this gap up that we had today, right? So we've got those in line and ready as targets for tomorrow on a scalping perspective, because previous high of day. Oh, it looks like we didn't change previous high day. Let's go ahead and change these in here really quick. We changed some of them. Activate previous high day. Let's go. Move our previous high of day up to today's high day. Move the 4-hour trigger to the high of the second 4-hour candle. 4-hour trigger to the downside to the low of the second 4-hour candle, and the previous low a day will move to today's low. All right, sorry about that quick intermission. And let's go back to our 5-minute chart. So general rule is higher lows above opening print, we are getting into calls, shooting for overnight high and previous high day as the targets. Whichever one comes first is the first target, whichever one comes second is the second target. Inversely, if we get the opening print and we get a lower high underneath or at opening print, then we're looking to get puts. First target being overnight low, second target being previous low a day, or if they're switched around, then whichever one comes first is the first target, whichever one comes second is the second target. If we get past those targets, then we move to our 4-hour and day triggers and targets, but we'll get to those here in a second. But just as an example, say we get some push down overnight and we open here at 38.63. Again, if we open here, we get price action to the upside. Say we reject off an overnight high and we come back down and we put a higher low in at or above this opening print, then we want to enter calls shooting for this overnight high and previous high of day. Obviously, there's not a lot of magnitude there. If the overnight high is here, we would hope that the overnight high would move up higher, throughout the night. But if it does, that would be our second target. But we also have our market makers expected move range that we can rely on from that perspective as well. Once we breach this previous high day, we've also got the fib extensions of this gap. Excuse me. So actually, what is this? No, that's the. Did I draw a different gap on that? I must have removed the old gaps. Let's pull this out here real quick and see what we're working with. Okay, so those are old fib extensions, but they still come into play, right? So from a scalping perspective, right? So 36, 39, 69, 4007, 4044, and you can see how this 278.6 fib kind of lines up with the market makers expected move high. So those are still in play from previous. You can also do the fib extensions from the Wednesday close to the Thursday open. Those will probably come into play, and a lot of them will probably actually line up with these extensions. Let's go ahead and just draw that in to see. There was the open, there was the close. Yeah, you can see the cluster here around the 238 and the 250 and the 261. So you should see probably some chop around that, in between that. Let's remove this. 39.70 to 40.40 level. Probably see some chop there if we get into that level tomorrow. So that's what we have from a scalp perspective. Let's kind of go from a day trade and swing trade perspective. We can see we've got the, oops, come on. Let's zoom in a little bit more here. There we go. We can see we had the, pretty sideways action this morning. A little bit of a push down, but no price acceptance, right? Pushed back up. Candle closed green. We did get a little push up in the second 4 hour to try and close that gap, but we did see a little rejection here off of this, this fib extension that we have, and the 78.6 of the what was that fib extension that we had? There's the I can't remember, but that one's been coming into play along with the 61.8 and 50. You can see how the price reacted around those as well. So if we get price action to the upside, we've got these fib extensions. If we get price action to the downside, we'll probably see some support around today's low. But if we do break below that, look for at least a half gap fill, if not the full gap fill, kind of lining up with the market maker's expected move low for tomorrow. From the day perspective, let's bring up a little different chart. There we go. Again, we got the big gap up, kind of a doji candle, hammerish candle, so no price acceptance to the downside. Closed not too far from the open, but it was still green, so may see some continued momentum, price action to the upside. We've got that market maker's expected move high here, but again, we are opening up where we did close around this weekly broadening formation and this fib extension, so we could get a little bit of rejection here or pullback to digest, right? People taking profits, digest this big move that we've had over the last 2 days, possibly getting that gap fill. So if we do get the 2 up, 2 down, the first target would be the gap fill, but the ultimate magnitude for that move would be the low of this 2. Don't know that would happen in 1 day. Might take a couple of days, maybe even 3 days to reach that level if it does go that route. But that would be the ultimate magnitude for that 2 up, 2 down move on the day perspective. Let's go ahead and go to our notes so we can just kind of look at the numbers. From the 4 hour perspective, you'd have a 2 up, 2 down triggering at 35.76 with a magnitude of 33.98. I don't think I marked these right. I don't think I put these in today. Let's go ahead and do it with me. I apologize for not being prepared here. The low here is 38.98. So that's the trigger for the from the 4 hour perspective, and the magnitude is 38.14. All right, we can have an extended target of this market maker's expected move low of 37.27. We could even say the full gap close of 38.14. I'm sorry, 38.14, 36.98. So we'll just do that, 36.98 for an ultimate extended target. If we do get the 2 up, 2 up, that triggers at 39.32. And we've got the extended targets here of 40.89. Let's just delete all these, 40.89. And what are our other extended targets? Let's go ahead and go to the scalp to bring up all those fib extensions. Yeah, those don't even. 41.66 would probably be our next bet for a target, right? So 41.66, 43.24, 42.24. That pushes up against the daily broadening. I think that's probably the better extended target there, 42.24. All right, so that would be fully extended at that point. I'm pretty sure the RSI would be pretty beating on the 90 door by that point, but we'll see what happens. From the day perspective, let's go ahead and bring that up. That would trigger at the low of 38.14. All right, so the magnitude of the move on the 4 hour. First target, of course, would be this 36.98. So I'm going to say target before magnitude, 36.98, just because it's such a big move. Let me put 35.49 last month and last quarter's high. Oops. Yeah, 35.49. and we'll give the magnitude here of 33.98. All right, so we won't worry about that part. There we go. And to the upside, we would have the 2 up triggering at the 39.32 and targeting that 40.89, 40.24. Or 42.24. We're actually going to throw that 41.19 in there because it is that higher high on the week and month perspective. So there's an important level that we do want to know about. So again, we have triggered the 2 up on the week, and we're in force. But just going back to the intraday and the swing overnight swing trades, or the over weekend swing trades. Again, 2 up, 2 down, triggering at 38.98, magnitude of 38.14 with an extended target of 36.98. We have a 2 up if we go to the upside, targeting or triggering at 39.32, targeting 40.89, 41.19, and 42.24. From the day perspective, the magnitude of the 4-hour reversal is the trigger on the day perspective, with a target of 36.98, 35.49 on their way down to 33.98. Again, we gave those intermediate targets just because we're in such a strong uptrend, and that is a pretty big move to make a $5 move in one day for SOXL. It's a pretty big move. So don't know that we would make it in one day, so we want to have some targets on the way down. And these are points that could always reverse and just give us a higher low and push us continue to the back to the upside. But if we don't get that pullback, or even if we do get that pullback a little bit at the beginning of the day but don't trigger to the downside, and we get a push back up, then we trigger at 39.32 with a target of 40.89, 41.19, and 42.24, right? So we went over those on the chart. We already looked at the week, month, quarter, and year earlier on the video as well. So not to drag this out anymore because I didn't have my homework done on the triggers and targets for the 4-hour and the day. We'll just go through the numbers here on the week, month, quarter, and year. We haven't triggered the 2 up, and we're in force. That's why this underlined in bold. We've reached that first target of 36.15. Now we're looking for, and also 39.45. Now we're looking for the 41.19 level. To the on the month, again, we are a 2 up in force above that 35.49. Again, we've reached these first two targets, looking for that 41.19. So again, that 41.19 is becoming that magic number after the 36.15 for our target, right? The quarter perspective, we triggered and completed the 2 down combo 2 up, which then triggered the 1 combo 2 down combo 2 up. Right, so that triggered at 36.15. First target of 38.89 has been achieved. Second target is 42.04, 44.54, and we'll, when we do the weekend video, we will get these first 2 targets out and get some better targets on our way up to the 70.80, because again, that's not going to happen in one quarter. We're going to need some intermediate targets on the way up. So the weekend video, we'll get rid of the targets that we've already achieved and get some better targets for that move, continued move up to 70.08. Again, on the year, we triggered the 1 2 up 2 down, but it's reversed. We're back green on the year. Again, we've got to go below 28.13 to go back red on the year. So didn't reach that magnitude of 621, only went to the 723. So looking at a higher low on the year perspective. So again, when we're looking at all time frames, 4-hour, day, week, quarter, month, quarter, year, everything is looking pretty bullish. So always have to expect some type of pullback, digestion, people that want to take profits. That's going to happen, right? So people have to pay themselves at some point in time. So we always want to be aware of that. That's why we've had the triggers and targets to the downside. But for right now, we'll just see where price action goes, right? We're not going to get out there and guess and just try and start predicting. We'll just respond properly to whatever price action we see out there. Again, it's the end of the week, so make sure you end the week green. If you're already green, don't give it all back. There's no such thing as house money, right? You earn that money. You've got to pay yourself at some point in time. So don't give it all back to the market, buying a bunch of 0 days or anything like that, violating your rules, your trading rules that got you to the green through the week to this point, right? You want to stay true to your rules, to the repeatable method that and strategy that you have come up with or taken on, and keep that money. Don't go into the weekend worrying about how you gave it all back, right? Anyways, I hope everybody gets some good rest tonight. If you made it to this part of the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate you hanging with us, especially on days like today when we didn't do all of our homework and get the numbers ready for you. But if you did hang with us, again, thank you very much. Give us a thumbs up. It helps the channel grow. Just trying to give out as much free information that we can. So get you some good rest tonight. Wake up refreshed tomorrow, and we will look forward to trading with you tomorrow.